Hello everyone and welcome to 3B. Today I'm going to just do an initial sort of review of the Optoma UHD40 4K projector. Now, as you can see, I have this wall mounted. I'm using a Qualgear wall mount. Really recommend these wall mounts, and I'll explain why in a moment. My initial reasons for going for the UHD40 and not the UHD50 or the 51 as it's known as, or even the 60 and 65. It wasn't that I was necessarily restricted by budget. I was always going to look at this as an investment and was prepared to pay for that. However, the problem I faced is this room is relatively small, and as you can see, the screen is there and it's just under 100 inches away. With that has an inherent problem of the UHD 60 and 65 have a longer throw lens. And after a lot of looking around and understanding of the other models, the UHD40 actually has a shorter throw lens within it, allowing for a much bigger image to appear on the projection screen. Obviously, if I had a UHD 60 or 65, it's got a longer throw lens, meaning I would only necessarily get a picture not much bigger than the 65-inch TV that I have already. So it made little sense for me to go for that. So it kind of saved me money going for the UHD 40. So the next question is, why didn't I go for the UHD 50 or the 51 as I think it's known as in other areas? The reason being is that the only difference, well, there's two key differences between this and the UHD 50, I believe. The main one is that the UHD 50 has some processing, and I'm not a fan of processing. I believe it's to stop certain degrees of jitter, and if it's anything like the live motion or smooth motion that we see in TVs, then I certainly don't want that and would not use it because it looks awful, and you get this sort of soap opera effect, which is sort of a fake feeling to it. People don't feel natural. The other thing is that the lumens on the UHD 50 is actually lower. I believe this one is, now I've forgotten, but I think it's 400 lumens, and the UHD 50 is 2200. I could be wrong, but I know the difference is somewhere in the region of like 200 lumens. Now that to me makes quite a bit of a difference. And there's a difference in price. You know, I managed to get this for £12.50, £12.75, that's UK pounds, which is good price, considering other areas, other places in the UK are selling it at, £1,500, £1,600 still. So that led me to pretty much get the UHD 40 because it's brighter. It doesn't have the silly motion nonsense processing, which I wouldn't use anyway. And it's got a shorter throw lens, enabling a much larger image at a much shorter distance. So those were the benefits to me. Even with the 2000, I can't remember the lumens, I think it's 2400 lumens this has got, it still requires the room to be pretty dark. And to that effect, I use blackout blinds that you can see there. And with those down, it works pretty well. I would recommend if you're installing it in a room and you want to use it, I would get blackout blinds. They work really well. The other thing to consider is the distance. Obviously, it's 100 inches, but even with 100 inches, and this is a 220 centimeter screen, it kind of pretty much almost fills it up. So there's that too. So that's the advantage for the reason why I got that. The other thing also to consider, I'd really thoroughly recommend before buying, and this is for any projector, is to get a decent wall mount or a ceiling mount. But I got this one because it's very cool, because it's got dials that allow me to very gently change the rotation, the horizontal pivot, and pretty much everything down to such tiny degrees, so I can get the position of the projector exactly where I want it. And it's not cheap. It was £120, I think, the wall stand, but it's super secure. And it moves forward and backwards. It can move side to side as well, as you can see. It'll fit any projector. It has so many options, and it can go up and down as well, which you can move when you set up the wall mount at the back. So it's hugely configurable, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a wall mount that enabled me to, where if I put it on the wall and it wasn't in the exact position, it wouldn't be an issue. So those are the things I considered. I was prepared to invest a lot in the wall mount, and I believe I made a good choice in terms of the projector too. There are some downsides which I've faced. There are some issues with the blacks. They're kind of not completely clear, and it doesn't allow for very deep blacks, which you kind of don't get with sort of mid-range projectors, really. So that's a kind of a disappointment. But overall, I'm really super happy with it. And I'll provide some images of the projection next. But overall, it's a great 4K projector. It's got internal speakers, but I would never use those. It's got all those connectors at the back. So all the sort of standard connectors that you would expect. But I've got, if you've got this, you wouldn't necessarily have it just on its own. You would have it connected to an AV amp as part of a proper system. And that's what I've done here. So I'll now show you some images and some video. Hopefully YouTube won't stop me from showing that. So we'll get onto that next. Okay, here we are. I've got the blackout blinds down. So as you can see, they take out an awful lot of the light. It's still not perfectly dark, and this camera on my Samsung S8 is obviously allowing for the lack of light, so it's actually a bit darker than what this video is showing. But I'll turn on the projector. Comes with a cool remote that lights up, which is always handy. Now it goes through a sort of a power mode where it takes a while to turn on. So you can see it on there. And when I initially saw that, I thought, it's not very bright. But it only goes bright when it knows there's content there. So for instance, you can see that it's coming up with the Denon thing there. So we'll try and I've got it connected to my AVR amp down there. So I have clicked that to Xbox. Can't find it. Where's the wheel? There it is. So this is 220 centimeters, the screen. So as you can see, it's pretty bright. It's not bad at all. The screen I'm using, the projection screen, is a sapphire, really good screen. But as you can see, it's bright, the colors are punchy. I really don't have a lot of issues with things. What is cool is if we move down and choose a game, you can kind of see difference in the black levels there, but overall, you know, they're not bad. So let me move across so we can get a better idea. And the projector is pretty quiet. I've not really noticed it during a movie. One thing I would recommend is that I've experienced is that there's some dropout. And by that I mean that sometimes it will try and find the source. And I believe that's more to do with the fact that I'm using the 10 meter HDMI cable. So I'm going to install the booster so we're not waiting, we don't get this hunting for a source from the UHD projector. But yeah, I'm going to try and play this. I wonder if... So I'm doing this with one hand, which isn't ideal. But it'll give you an idea of what it's like on the Xbox, Xbox One, which is obviously a 4K console. But I'll try and show some content in terms of video as well. But that'll be on a USB stick. But as you can, I'm standing right by the projector and it's not making a lot of noise. I've got the Xbox turned way down. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the quality if you look really closely. Obviously my phone is probably going to show up some banding or something, but overall, you know, it's pretty good. Colors are punchy. Resolution is good. It's easy to focus. This is where I make a complete balls of it because I'm trying to drive with one hand. And I'm not sure. Okay. I'm just going to crash into this corner because I can't steer. Try and steer. Way off we go because I can't steer. Trust me, I'm not as bad as that in this game normally. It's because I'm trying to do this with one hand, and because I'm right-handed and the steering is on the other side, I can't. But you get the idea. Oops. Yeah, really doing badly at this. Okay, now. But you get the idea as to what it's like on games. But it's really good on games. So, yeah, so that's that. And this is where it searches for content, as you can see on the bottom there. And sometimes I get this a lot. I say a lot, 2-3 times a night with no warning, but I think that's more to do with the HDMI cable than anything else. So that's the UHD40 on the Xbox One X. I'll now try and show you guys some video content, 4K video content, so you can see for yourselves what it's like. But, you know, I'm sure if you're like me, you know, it's really impressive considering the throw as well. Remember me saying, you know, it's a pretty short throw from from there to there, and you're getting that size image. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And yeah, so I'm very happy with it. I would certainly recommend it for smaller rooms, but I'll show you some more footage of the UHD40 on some video. Okay, so here we are. I'm just using some test footage. It's in 4K. It's being streamed. That's the only problem. So there will be some compression in that a little bit, but I have a very strong connection. But it gives you an idea how good this projector is. I'll try and get close up to probably see my shadow at some point. So there's a lot of detail there. Some good colors. I've calibrated it a bit. I can see on my phone that it's showing up as there's some banding there, but that's not actually on the screen. So I'm just hoping it's my phone just picking something, adding something. But I'm really close. You can see my shadow there. Gives you an idea how close I am to this screen. But yeah, it's really good quality. Really nice colors. As I said, I've calibrated it because it was a bit washy at first. And the settings I'm using are, so if we go to image settings, so I have display mode on at cinema, all color is off obviously. Dynamic range is set to HDR because it's a HDR thing. Brightness at 2, contrast -3, sharpness at 10. Gamma I've set to film. Color settings I've just left for the device to figure out. Ultra detail at 2, dynamic black at on. Brightness mode, because I'm playing this, it's not coming up, but it's set to bright. These colors are a bit too much on this video, but yeah, as you can see, it's really great quality. This is just an example video to give you some ideas and just give you an idea how close everything is. There's the projector and there's the screen. So if I get that side by side, that's what it is. So that gives you an idea. And you're getting a nice big image as well, really punchy. So would I recommend this? Most certainly. It's at a good price now because they brought out the UHD40. And unless you want lots of processing on your images, which I wouldn't recommend, then I would just get this because it's a brighter unit. I think it's 2400 and the UHD40 is 2200 lumens. This is HDR too, so you know it's great. It's got lens shift. As long as you connect it to a good wall mount or ceiling mount, you're golden. As long as you connect it to good quality source material and components, you're good too. I believe my phone is making the colors a bit overly saturated because well, it's sort of overly blown a little bit, the colors on that my phone is actually making up. But yeah, and I would recommend sort of blackout blinds so you can watch it during the day. And this is not a dark room even now with the blackout blinds. So you know, you can even just with this room as it is, it's doing really well. The colors look great. The image looks great. So that is my take on the Optoma UHD40. A great value 4K projector. It's solid, it's reliable, it's incredibly well made. It's at a bargain price right now for a 4K projector. Just make sure that you connect it to decent components and you set it up correctly, and you get a decent screen to project onto. Then everything is fabulous, as you can see by these images. So I hope this has been useful to you guys, and yeah, feel free to ask questions or whatever you like. So that's my take on that, and we'll just sort of look at some of the images.